Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. Why don't we go around and give our names? Let's start with the folks on Zoom. Lana, why don't you start?
Lana Batts, graduated 68, live in Lakeside, Montana.
Okay.
Okay, David Tyrrell, the better half of Nancy and David, continuing supporter of the museum.
Thank you, David. Okay, so let's jump to this room.
Griggles, volunteer.
It's Mary Olson.
Wayne Fairchild. I guess I graduated in '89 here.
Okay.
But also the outfitter, Lewis Club Trail Ventures, and organizer of the Cuba tour.
Gia Randolph, Wayne's wife. So I guess co-organizer of the Cuba tours. Also a graduate of University of Montana, 1992. School visits.
Tim Payne, tag along.
Don Payne, Tim's wife.
Yeah.
Oh, four, I guess, is what I got a degree here.
This is mainly a Q&A session. So if you have, let's just jump right in. If anybody has any questions, unless you guys want to talk a little bit, or well, Dawn.
If we can record, start the recording now. Oh,
Yeah,
Charlotte, Tracy, she's such a genius.
Well, why don't I just talk about a little bit the itinerary that we do and what I've been doing. So I'll back up a little bit. I'm a graduate here of '89 from the School of Forestry and Recreation Management. I've been doing outfitting river trips since then. And then about 10 years ago, we started doing Cuba tours. And I'm also very in touch or love the history of Cuba. And so I call it American Cuban Historical. And when I was researching it, I saw that a lot of people do tours just in the Havana area. But I wanted to go to the eastern part of the island, Santiago. It's where the Spanish-American War took place at San Juan Hill. Teddy Roosevelt, I'm a big historical fan of Teddy's and stuff. So what I proposed, me and Gia actually went down to Cuba and found a tour operator on the ground, and we started finding guides, historical people with knowledge and stuff. So we spent 2 or 3 trips down there getting our local community and guides together down there. And I feel after 10 years, we got a pretty good team of guides, helpers, historians down there that are experts in the fields that we want to take you to. And it's phenomenal, some of the speakers we got, and they really are involved and like the fact that we go to some of the off the beaten path places. And so they're very touched by that, and you know, they're glad that I'm bringing people down to this part of the island. So the tour I started was, we fly into either Holguin or Santiago, which is in the eastern part of the island, and there are flights from Miami that are still going from American Airlines. It's got a couple direct flights to Santiago. In the wintertime, they kind of switch. We'll keep track of that. It might go to Holguin or Santiago, depending where the demand is. It's about 100 miles apart. But the focus on the eastern part of the island is Fidel Castro. We go to his birth spot, his ranch, see the movement there. Then we go into Santiago and we see the city and the historical sites of San Juan Hill or Teddy Roosevelt. Everybody's kind of pretty familiar somewhat with that and the Spanish-American War. We also touch in on the Castro, the barracks where they first attacked, and the July 26th movement in '56 and stuff. So I'm not going to go too far into history, but then we spend a few days in Santiago. We actually do a day hike up in the mountains and see one of the first coffee plantations there in the Western Hemisphere. And then we move across the island. So we're working our way from east to west. And then the next day we travel after 3 days, we travel up to a city called Camagüey. And we get there in the afternoon and we have lunch there. And then we do a tour of the town there. And there's a lot of artist shops that we go to. And they're very psyched that we come there, because this is off the beaten path. And when we walk in there with 15 Americans and to their art gallery. They're just really happy. And, you know, we had some folks last year buying some of the art and stuff like that. And then we have a nice place for dinner there. And then the next day, we have a nice B&B that we stay at right in the town square. And then we again are moving west up to the island. The next day we go to Trinidad. Trinidad is on the coast, getting now closer to Havana, and we walk around the historical sites there in Trinidad. Another routine, we get there at lunch, tour, dinner, and then there's a great music place that night in Trinidad. Then after Trinidad, we go to the Bay of Pigs. We stay right at Playa Larga, but on our way there, we go stop at Playa Huron and we see the Bay of Pigs Museum, and we talk about the Bay of Pigs invasion of Kennedy and the failure and all that good stuff. And then we spend a night at the B&B right on the beach at the Playa at the Bay of Pigs. So there's an opportunity for people to go swimming, snorkeling, and stuff like that. There is actually some scuba there, but that would have to be arranged beforehand with somebody, because we do get there at noon. I try to shoot there, get there at noonish, so we have the afternoon to do that kind of stuff. So we could arrange for scuba if people are interested in that, because Playa Larga is known for scuba in the Bay of Pigs. So there is that opportunity, but we have to arrange that beforehand. And then from Playa Larga, we move up to Havana for 3 nights, and there we touch on, you know, the Hemingway. We go to Hemingway Ranch, his house, the sites. We have a walking tour of Havana. We get to go to an old car, classic car restoration place, and the guy that we have lined up for that, actually Obama brought him to the United States and went to the White House and talked with Obama. And this guy tells a great story of meeting Obama and visiting his very first McDonald's. But this guy's pretty funny. And then he's got a great 30-minute, but he shows us and tells us how they restore these cars, and then part by part, how they get them there to the country and stuff and restore these cars. So he was the first classic car company in Havana. And it's a great tour. And then we ride around the cars. And these are the same cars that John Kerry, me and Gia rode in on, everything that Obama's went there and all the diplomats. So we have a great tour in the cars. And so we hit all the highlights in Havana. And the last night we have a great meal at the, what's the name of the restaurant? It was where the Obamas stayed for dinner and stuff. Had a family restaurant and stuff. But we hit all the great sites there. And there's opportunity to go to the Tropicana the last night. You all know, familiar with the show there. So that's kind of the short version of the itinerary. It's 9 nights, 10 days from Santiago to Havana.
And I think that the benefit of this trip and what makes it unusual is in fact starting in the east.
Yes.
Because Cubans themselves know that how important the eastern part of the island is for. I mean, Havana gets all the glory because it's in the west, it's close to the United States, et cetera. It's the capital. But Cubans think of Santiago and they think of the east as the cradle, if you will, of the culture.
The Orient.
And the first capital was way out there in the east. The Haitian Revolution transformed Cuba as a result. So yeah, it's an important part. The music, the food, everything that is authentically Cuban comes from the eastern part of the island, and that's the place that the tourists don't go to.
Exactly. So I feel like when we go there, we're really seeing the culture, and we actually organize our family that works for us down there. We go to their house and we have a big pig roast. And
by the way, I'm saying that quite humbly because I come from the far western end of the island. So I come from Pinar del Rio, which is the tobacco country, sort of.
So this is the sugarcane part.
That's right.
And Santiago was the first capital. It's also, I could take you to where Cortez left the customs house there in Square Santiago, where he sailed away and went to Mexico. You know the story there, but it's a 500-year-old city. It's a couple years older than Havana, and I can't speak enough about it. And then you work your way, you see things improving a little bit. A lot of people on horseback and buggy down in the Santiago eastern part, and then you get towards Havana, you're actually starting to see more cars, more buses than tourists. We probably won't run into any other tour groups until you get to Trinidad.
Nice.
Do you plan to talk a little bit about the logistics and accommodations, like are the
Yes, okay,
hotels all included or guest houses, whatever, and
so,
meals and things like that?
yeah, so all the meals and places that we stay are included.
Well, there might be like one
I'll tell
night
you,
or something like that is on your own or something, but there will be a detailed itinerary.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
your custom itinerary.
the places that we stay at are family-owned bed and breakfasts, or a couple hotels not owned by the government. So when I first started doing this, I wanted people, you know, if we grab a group of 20 people or 10, we're all eating and having meals together. So I decided to put in an itinerary, go explore on your own, maybe a night in Santiago and a night in Havana, go out and find your place. And then we report back in and say, tell me about your experience last time. But the Santiago now is turned into the pig roast. So there's one meal that's not included or on your own, but everything's included. The B&Bs are all backed up by generators. I know you've probably been hearing about the power and all this stuff like that. So there are some power outages in Cuba. They're rapidly trying to build these power plants financed by the Chinese. But last year we were there, we had a power outage, and next thing they kicked in the generators, you would have never known.
Do you need adapters or the same as?
The same as here. There's no cell phone real coverage if there, I guess, might be.
Well, your phones, the confusing thing is your phones will work, but they charge $2 a minute. There's no reciprocating, there's no Verizon, there's no AT&T. It's like whatever. So you can call someone, but you'll get a bill on your bill. It'll be $2 a minute.
It's gonna be phoneless.
But then, yeah, so text messages saying like they're very confusing and they get delayed and they might go through or they might not. But if you're ever in Wi-Fi, can use Wi-Fi assisted calling, you know, through WhatsApp or messaging, email, what you can operate your phone just like you would anywhere else as long as you have Wi-Fi.
Is Wi-Fi only like the major cities? I always.
No, we have Wi-Fi at every place that we stay.
Oh, seriously?
Yes,
Well, it might not always be included with your stay, but in Cuba, they have these little cards that have a little, right, we'll talk more about it, but yeah, there's like get these little internet cards. And so there is a lot of Wi-Fi around, but we just have to get the little cards and use that for.
You see Lana's hand?
Mhm.
I have a couple of questions. One is you said on the first or the second day, we hike up a mountain to a coffee plantation. What kind of, how do you define up?
okay, so it's a drive up, great question. It's a drive up to the top of the mountain. And then there's a mountain walk out to the plantation that has no real elevation, but some people, there's a rock there that we climb 400 steps. That's optional if you don't want to do that. From the top of that in Santiago, you can actually see into Guantanamo Bay. So we had people that just sit down at the restaurant there and don't want to hike up the top of the rock, but everybody kind of goes out along the trail to the coffee plantation. It's probably about a mile.
Okay,
But the
Okay,
hike
then
up to, that's optional.
okay. Then my second question is, if you could arrange for snorkeling, my husband and I always thought we'd be going to Cuba on a birding tour. Is there any way on that couple of free afternoons or something like that, we could arrange a go bird watching?
Right there in Playa Larga, we could actually arrange a bird watching and snorkeling. We could stop at one of those cenotes at the fish place, and so that we can actually organize the cenote snorkeling and scuba diving right there, and then we can, you know, the smallest bird in the world is from Cuba, the hummingbird, and we actually saw this at Playa Larga.
The size of a penny.
Yeah, and there's a house that we took people to last year, and he's feeding these birds, so it's pretty interesting. So it's a good question. We can make sure that happens.
Okay,
try to make it.
And then as you were explaining it, I really thought I would see more, we're gonna go to museum, we're gonna go to, something like that, and I don't really see you. Or, something that would be much more Cuban literature oriented as opposed to, let's say, Hemingway oriented.
I went really quick. In Havana, there's a lot of opportunities to see the museums, museums of the art there. There's the Culture Museum. In Santiago, there's the Picardy Historical Culture and Art Museum. So I didn't talk about it, but it's there.
Raphael's gonna. That's
Yeah,
filling
right.
all that space with art.
Yeah, we're the time in Havana, the nice thing about Havana is it's all concentrated. So the National Museum, all the museums are very close from each other. When you're in the old squares, the squares are next to each other. And each square essentially has a cultural institution of some sort. So there's the cathedral and the colonial museum are opposite each other. The Captain's General's Palace is right in the next square. Everything is pretty much compact. So we'll do, as part of our tour.
Yeah, when I said the walking tour, I didn't say.
Right, there will be some stops in some of these places. And then we will see Hemingway's drinking haunts and his house outside of the city.
And then I had a final question, and I think when I talked to Tracy, we get ourselves to Miami. You tell us, and then you tell us what flight we book to Santiago, correct? So that we're all on the same plane going to Santiago?
Correct.
And do you recommend we spend, I'm assuming, overnight in Miami? Yes.
Yes. Okay.
We're planning on meeting in Miami at a hotel or something.
We thought that we should meet there.
That's what,
People can stay wherever they want,
but have a general.
but have a general meeting in Miami before we go, to make sure that everybody has their documents,
Yeah.
packed everything they need. We really should have that meeting.
Yes.
Before we fly out the next day.
That's what
Yeah.
we've been doing. We can talk later, but I have a great spot for that,
Okay.
right by the hotel.
Great.
Or-
So- Okay, and so you give us the information we need for the visas?
The visas, you can't even do them until 7 days before.
Okay.
As far as I know, right?
Yes, that's correct.
You
So,
cannot you cannot complete your visa until 7 days before. It's very quick. And they email you a PDF with a QR code and it's done. So you can't,
And no chance of it getting turned down, there's.
No.
no,
so
Okay.
since you've been there, they've gone all
Digital.
digital. They're still accepting the old paper ones because people bought a lot of them, but they're
Right.
running out. So once we book, you'll be getting information on that. We'll send you a letter. Okay, now it's time to apply on this site,
Mhm.
the custom visa services or whatever, and you just fill out the form. They send you an email and then you sit on it until a week before you go, and then you finish it. And then they send you a QR code on your phone,
Yeah.
and that's how you get in.
And there will be like just sort of a trickle of information because we also don't want to have you fill out a bunch of forms or give us information that isn't quite up to date or current or, with the itinerary. So I have our reservation portal set up so that you can pay the deposit. And we just get basic information like your name and your email and your phone number and, like dietary restrictions, emergency contact, stuff like that. And then when we get closer, then we'll give out the information about what flights to get. And then we'll give out information about the forms to fill out in Cuba. So the Cuban tour company who's making, who has the license to make all the hotel reservations and the transportation, they will need certain information from you too, like your passport, and make sure your passport is doesn't expire for 6 months after travel. That's important. And so those kind of things they won't come right away. They will come in steps for you.
And things are changing because the administration now is evaluating stuff. They haven't made any changes. They're just looking into new policies. They're not expecting to do much, is what I heard from the ground. So we're
Okay.
keeping our finger,
And one more question. We took a rather disastrous trip to Costa Rica and they said there were fans in the room. Little did they tell us the fan was this big and one at the end of the bed. I mean, are we talking plantation fans, air conditioning? What do we got at the sleeping rooms in these B&Bs?
I'm honestly gonna tell you, they all have air conditioning with big fans.
Okay,
But if the power goes out, you know, you use a generator and I don't think, we haven't really had, I mean, had done many trips and no one has been. I mean, the time of year that we're going to, it's not,
Yeah.
it is not September, October.
And I turn off the air conditioning, open the windows, because I'm not a big
Yeah.
air conditioning guy.
It's not as humid in late January and, yeah.
So what we used to tell our Cuba groups was Cuba is Africa hot. I mean, it is a hot, hot country, but we're going at the right time of year.
Mhm.
So the time of year that we're going, it's temperate, it's cool even at night, so. And it rains, you know, so it's not, you know, it's not late August, September, October, which is like the scorching time of year down there. So, but just beware, it is the tropics, it's the Caribbean, and it is warm, so, yeah.
So I have a few questions, but I want to make sure. David, are you doing good? Do you have any questions?
About the only thing I'm sort of interested in is you talk about these B&Bs, family run. I mean, that's quite a range. I've been in all kinds. What's the standard, would you say, say on the star rating here? I mean, are we talking about 1 star, 3 stars, 5 stars? How would you describe the accommodation?
4-star,
Really?
yeah, so,
Three,
so
so I'll be honest, you know,
I was expecting.
but they're very nice.
you'll be impressed on how friendly the people are. The rooms are super clean. Air conditioned, I think they're wonderful, and you go down the street, you open up a door, you think it's nothing behind it, and all of a sudden you're gonna go into a main hall with 5 bedrooms up here and 4 over here, and then we
And
can't.
how many bathrooms?
There's a bathroom, room,
Yeah, there's no shared bathroom.
no share, it's all,
It's all private bath. Every room will have its private bathroom.
Okay.
Transportation, is it bus between place to place?
yep, it's a first-class bus, just like you'd see at the Beachliner.
And what would be the longest bus ride in a day?
6 hours
And that's when we leave Santiago
to come away.
to come away, yeah.
We leave about 8 and we're getting in there around 1 o'clock.
So it's the whole morning, basically.
Yeah, so we're leaving right after breakfast and getting to Kenway for lunchtime.
And the other days there isn't.
And then the next day, when we leave Kenway, we're getting to Trinidad, same, we leave after breakfast, we get there at lunchtime. So it's 5-6 hours with a couple rest stops.
Are admissions to all the tours and museums and stuff included, or do we need to be prepared to pay for those things?
They're all included.
They're all, okay. So all the tours and everything. So
The only thing that's not, would be if you choose to go to the Tropicana show last night, or any night that you're in Havana.
how about gratuities and tips? Are they included, or is there a policy, or?
So we do have some information about, like what's customary. And then, which is also closely related to our recommendation for how much cash to bring, because you cannot use your US credit cards, debit cards, ATM cards, they don't work in Cuba. So there is a recommendation for how much cash to bring. And then alongside with that will be, this is what we recommend for the gratuity. So there will be guides along the way, there will be a guide
So,
that's with us the whole time, you know, so there will be information about that.
so we have,
Oh, yeah.
general thing is we have a bus driver and a full-time guide. And our recommendation is bus driver and the guide gets $10 a day. Per person, so a couple, so you got a bus driver 10 and you got a guide at 10. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it just seems very small.
$10 a day, so it's, but it's for the,
20 people.
for the trip,
Oh, that's okay, that doesn't.
yeah. We had 20 people last year and they got like $2,000.
And you can always
Be for that.
give more, yeah, exactly.
So $10 a day per guide per person.
And do you do
So
that?
if it's
as-
9-day trip, each person, $100, so it's 200 per couple.
Yes, yeah, at the end, not like on a daily.
So we usually do that at the farewell dinner at the restaurant in Bristol Bell.
And what about the B and Bs and restaurants and all that? Do you
So-
guys take care of it when you pay the bill?
Yep, it's all taken care of and my guy tips those people. So, but then there's always incidental tipping, like if you decide to go get a taxi or you go to the Florida bar and have a daiquiri, you're gonna wanna tip.
Or
the
just
bartender.
coffee or lunch or, you know, I mean, most of like Wayne say, most of the things are included, but there might be times when you wanna.
Or sometimes you get off the bus and there's people there that wanna carry your luggage somewhere and you just let them do it and give them a few paces.
That was my next question. Should we exchange our currency?
They like American dollars, but they don't like small American dollars. They like
Well, that's
huge
nice.
American dollars.
We're gonna disagree on that.
They don't want, well, the ones, every time you go to Hemingway, they take them once, they collect all the ones, and then when they find a foreigner, they try to go, I'll exchange my ones for your 20 or your 10.
Right,
So, but I like to I like to have small Cuban pesos on me, because
Yes.
instead of tipping.
Mhm.
Right, so here's the deal, you can't buy Cuban pesos here, right? You
No.
have to exchange them once you get it.
And we have that taken care of. If you gave me $100, so what I've been doing on the tours, everybody gives me $100
$100 bill.
and I go and exchange it through my guy. And within an hour, you come back and you'll have 30,000, whatever, 200,000 pesos or something.
Okay.
And so in our,
100 per person, probably, or? just-
That's what I've been doing the last couple of tours, and that's $100 per person's been fine for incidental tipping throughout the day.
and this will all be in a confirmation and then general, and then updates will come too, like for, you know, as we get closer to the trip. We will have something to refer back to, not just us talking.
But like, if you're in Havana and you wanna buy a piece of art, they will gladly take your US dollars. But when I was talking about the small tipping.
Yeah.
It's good for them to have their local currency so they can,
I was told Canadian dollars or euros were better. Certainly better from an exchange rate.
that's a false rumor, I think.
Think so.
We had people there last year that did the same thing. And they didn't want those euros or Canadian dollars.
Interesting.
The US is what they want.
Because they have relatives and things going back and forth. I mean, all of their connections most of their connections are in the United States. Good Cuba people, yeah, so I feel like that's where.
We took Canadian dollars and the last time we went, this is of course 8 years ago, no, 10 years ago.
Mhm.
We took Canadian dollars and euros and US dollars and we came back with the Canadian and the euros and exchange it back.
Yeah. They really don't want it, but the Europeans say, oh, no, they'll find money, but.
Well, if they're from Europe, well,
Yeah.
they're Canadian, that's what they have, and so they're, you know, sure, it works, but I think if you given the choice, they would prefer US dollars. Or the Cuban pesos. So, yeah, exactly.
Cuba used to have two currencies that when you were
That's
there.
right,
There
it was a tourist currency.
Yeah.
the Cuba and the peso, it's all the Cuban peso now. And it's. What was the super, I think it was
Like 280 or 300.
say it was
dollars.
300 pesos to the US dollar. When you were there, Obama was like 50 pesos to the dollar for, if you even exchange for the pesos, but it was mostly food. So it gets kind of confusing, but you get a $300 bill or a $500 bill is $250.
$2.50.
Well, that's when it was at 250,
Right.
but it's jumped up to 3 now.
So, random question, not that I'm obsessed or anything, but if we are able to arrange the scuba diving. Do we have luggage limitations, one per person, or could we bring up, because we have a bag, one bag that we share that has all our diving. And that's the hot debate if it works out for us to dive, if we bring our own gear. It's nice to have your own gear.
Yeah,
But it's gonna be a pain in the ass.
No, like I said, this bus is it's like a 40 passenger and we're taking 20, I think, and it's a beach liner. It has.
So 3 bags won't be an issue for 2 people, so, okay.
And you could just leave it in the box.
You leave it in the bus driver locks it up and we'll get to our place every day. He opens up, he does, he goes and. It's pretty sharp.
It's just, we just bring our basic, and yeah, we're gonna be, we take half our stuff out, we just want our. Do you, I'll find all that out if it works for us to dive, and we realize we pay for the dive.
Yeah,
So we get that.
once that is for sure, I'll get a hold of them and I'll get a hold of the dive people and.
But it's nice to have your own gear.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can bring it, but you know, you gotta pay for it on American Airlines and all that.
That's fine.
And the Miami, Santiago and Havana flights would be added on when you figure out what we're gonna do, right? Or is that-
It's additional, yes.
Yeah. And we
So-
pay for our own travel, right? So we get to choose how we get to Miami,
Mm-hmm.
and then, but we're gonna be on the same flight. So we pay for that.
Same flight from Miami to Santiago, and then last year, our tours, like, when we leave the next day. We had one person that stayed a couple extra days, that he did his own thing, and then, but most people left the next day, and there's like 20 flights a day leaving from Havana. Back to the States, and we had people going Southwest Airlines to Tampa, we had American Airlines going to Charlotte. We had JetBlue going to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, people going to Miami and American Airlines. So there's a lot of options. I usually take the afternoon flight because I don't want to leave at 5 in the morning, get out to the airport for that 7 o'clock flight.
Same. I mean, I've done, yeah.
Yeah, but I had people book the 7 o'clock flight, so. We're having dinner at 9, 10, 11, and then they go out and have a beer, and then they're like, okay, sweet. They go, oh, damn, I wish I would have had the afternoon flight, so I always get fun. Cause the airport in Havana, well, the airport in Havana is, it's 45 minutes out of town.
And the transportation to the airports.
Yep, we'll get it, yeah. So I guess once everything's booked and stuff, and then we'll start working on the flights. And I'm monitoring, and the flights are still good. I haven't heard anything of them changing. If for some reason our president decides he's gonna shut down airlines. I don't think he will. Because there's a lot of political reasons for that, but if they did, we had in the past one tour. Air Canada goes from Toronto to Colgene every day in the winter. So we did that. But it's just flying from Montana to Toronto. But it's like flying from Miami or from here to Miami. And it wasn't that expensive, it was like $800. But that was a return flight. Back to Toronto.
Well, we'll just cross that bridge. when we get
Yeah,
there.
it's not that bridge.
So Lana, you asked about doing something other than Hemingway. So what my component of this is that I will get this course prepared before we go. So you're all gonna become Cuban experts by the time this is done. Because we'll have probably 3 sessions here in the States before, 3 class sessions. And we're gonna look at Cuban history from start to finish, look at Cuban art and culture from start to finish. So you're gonna be ready by the time you get there, and we will touch on literature as well. So it's not just the visual arts. It's obviously focused on the visual arts and architecture because that's what I do. But you'll also get plenty of the rest of the culture. So we'll talk about music, we'll talk about literature as well, and certainly history. And then, of course, there's nothing like doing that on site. So you'll know something about San Juan Hill before you actually climb San Juan Hill.
And
Which is more than we can say about the American troops who landed there in the beginning. I have no idea where they were going.
And we have a good recommended book reading list of just all of them.
Yeah, because I wanted, one of my questions, I was taking too much time, was Do you have a suggested reading list? And I think that's what you're talking about. Okay.
But then you'll have.
Right, we have one, but there's so much, like we were
Yeah.
probably missing some things that you would recommend.
Well, probably what we'll do is I'll look at your reading
Yeah.
list and then I'll add some things or maybe, you
Yeah.
know, suggest.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll email that, I sent, it's just a couple hours ago, but yeah, we'll get that.
Yeah, there's the body, the corpus of information on Cuba is vast.
Mhm.
Just depends on what angle you're interested in. I mean, so, I mean, just the flora and fauna alone, or the history alone, I mean, you can, thousands of titles about Fidel and his regime, so, yeah. Or the Spanish-American War. Is there any other questions out there or comments?
Can we see a sample itinerary from a previous that shows the,
Yeah, there
or
actually is
draft.
the itinerary that's on our website, but it is missing anything that would come from Rafael.
okay,
Because it's
It's
it's our standard Santiago to Havana that we've refined over the years. But yeah, it doesn't, it's not the itinerary for your trip.
and your website's on here somewhere?
Maybe not, but.
Sorry. Here, I can. Why is this, there we go, now it's down, sorry. I'll pull it up and share my screen and you can.
Yeah.
See it.
I just wanna make sure.
Yeah,
that,
just
you know,
right,
Yeah.
scroll down.
Well, it's
Trail adventures.
trailventures.com. But it's not to confuse you that is,
The same exact,
yeah,
but it's a representative.
yeah, exactly. The cities that we will be going to is, that's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the stops, but the filling in of the things that Rafael specializes in and, you know, what is not included, yeah.
And travel insurance, I'm assuming it's absolutely, well, it's mandatory. Do you guys procure that or do you have us procure it separate?
We work with a company called Travelex on all of our trips. And there is a link in the confirmation to them. For some reason, they don't do the Cuba travel insurance on the website. You have to call them and they must have to ask you certain questions. Like the travel affidavit or whatever, or some, I don't know why they, but even when we did our personal trips, that's who I used, and you can shop around too, there's like Allianz and several others, but it is highly recommended. I mean, just for the,
Similar coverage though
Unexpected.
to like an Allianz.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Sorry, my handwriting was.
That's why.
Well, trailadventures.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
And then, yeah, and there's a link right at the top of the homepage that goes to Cuba.
I'm gonna walk out, I'll just another thought. Go you all out of it.
Go ahead, Lana.
If we don't get enough, what's your minimum number of people to go?
10.
10? Okay.
What's your feelers right now?
Let's see, there's two other couples that are, we have four individuals or four couples? Okay, so we have two couples signed up right now. And I'm assuming that's excluding you folks. So I think we'll do probably 10 plus. I don't know how many
And
more.
max is 20.
Maximum would be 24, right?
Yeah, 22.
22, okay.
Well,
So-
yeah, then adding you two or,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I want to encourage you to talk to your friends, see if there's another couple who'd like to travel with. Don, what about, do you know of other?
Well, Len and Dennis are going, Tim and I are going,
And
Kate and John are going for sure,
That's three couples for sure.
for sure. I have a
So
couple,
that's 10 right there.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
so.
So we're in the recruitment stage. Okay. And the deposit stage, so.
Yeah,
So I can send, so I sent just earlier today, probably, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, but it was an email with a link to the private trip portal, like to book the trip. So you won't be able to book it from our website because that would mean then the general public could book it, because everything that's on our website is bookable by the general public. So, so, but we have just a link to a back end private for this trip, so. And you can pay the $500 deposit. If you do pay by credit card, there's a 3% processing fee, but check or ACH transfer, which I have to set that up, an ACH transfer, but I can do it through QuickBooks Online, that fee is waived, so.
But are you talking about the email that came out on Tuesday, or are you saying there's one just came out?
Oh, sorry, it was just to Raphael and Tracy for them to preview. So they could see what you will see if you want. If you're ready to book the trip, I can send a link and it can either come from them or directly from us.
Okay, got it.
Lana, we probably have your email, right? Did you go on a Missouri trip, or you had a Missouri trip planned, or?
Well, we had 2 Missouri trips planned and we're not able to make either one of them.
Well,
Actually, we put money, we lost money on both of them, so. But it was
Well,
all a mistake.
well, let's get it right this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who is that hanging behind you, Lana?
I'm sorry?
That art behind you? Would you tell us about it quick, please?
It's a local artist and it's called Saddle Up, and it's a woman getting on a horse.
I love
So
it.
see her hair, and there's here's her butt.
That's awesome.
And I thought it was perfect for my office.
All right, anybody have any other questions or concerns?
Just excited. Yeah.
Okay,
Are you going, David? Or still thinking about it?
Well, I'm still thinking about it because my dear wife has an alternative. So we're weighing up 2 trips. So we'll see.
I tell you, it'll be entertaining.
Well, and I wanted to go back to your question about the accommodations, and that I would say that everybody who's been on our trips, like one of the highlights of their experience is being able to stay in these small family-owned places. And the engagement that they have with the owners and their families, and it's just a really special experience.
breakfast they bring out in the mornings, the wonderful.
Yeah.
Fresh fruit, the coffee, the eggs, however you want
Yeah,
and I could tell you, because I've done 2 tours of Cuba that, and stayed in both cases, stayed in hotels. And in my last trip, we stayed on and did the bed and breakfast. The hotels are all over the place in terms of quality, in terms of the hospitality is generally pretty high, but the quality of the service is mixed, obviously. But I can tell you that the bed and breakfast experience was fabulous all around.
mhm.
Never went to a place that we didn't enjoy, and we didn't enjoy the people, and we didn't, we felt that we were treated really well at each place. So I think that's holding
Yeah.
true with you.
Very attentive. The food quality is way better than the hotels. I mean, they do their best, but I do feel like that the family-owned places, the food quality is really much better. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Great, well, thank you, and we'll wait.
Okay.
Well, I want to end on just, I'm a little weird on stuff. What is the Cuba's national song?
No idea.
I'm not, I'm not a good person to ask.
Let's,
Because there's the national anthem, then there's the
Right.
favorite song.
Because we're doing this.
So you gonna play it?
Yeah, I had it here.
Working on it.
It's not downloaded, so they got no bars. That's why I found them out.
Guatemala.
Mhm.
I had it all. This is a song. This is you'll hear it. Rock Cuba.
All over, sorry.
This is Cruz, a famous Cuban singer who was in Mexico when Seattle took over. She was never back into Cuba. Only once. She went to Guantanamo Bay, where the US has a naval base. So she's a famous singer, and this is a famous song written by Jose Marti. And it's about a woman from the countryside of Guantanamo. And not only is it famous in Cuba, but it's getting to be famous all over the world. You've heard this song, right? Cheater made it kind of famous.
I don't even know.
Not Peter. Pete Seeger.
Okay.
And you see kids singing it in Havana. You walk down the street and you got the bands and they start playing it. We're at a restaurant and you're gonna get 4 guys with cigars coming up. That's where your tips come from.
Yeah.
That's incidental tipping. Yeah.
You'll get to know the music really well.
Yes.
Because it's a very musical island.
It's everywhere.
Everywhere you turn.
Yeah.
Part of my healing side.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
thank you, everybody.
Okay.
All right, I'm a little concerned, it has nothing to do with the meeting.
Yes.
Jen sent a check-in, because I got an email about sending a check-in.
Oh, to our